hover the cursor over my account, there are different flyout options here, and there's quite a few. And what I really want to highlight here are some of the IPM related or the Customer Connect Plus add-on type functionality if you're performing commercial type services with IPM functionality. So one of those being the My Reports page, My Conditions, and My Diagrams. Those are really the three that we want to concentrate on. The other ones come with the standard Customer Connect for your residential based services and customer base. If we click on My Reports, this will show us some of the widgets that we just saw back on the dashboard, but this is like a far more robust report landing page for this commercial user. So you'll see right on the top here, we can drill into a couple different buckets, last 30 days, last 60 days, last 90 days, a year, or we can do a custom date range. We'll just stick with the default 90 date. We are currently looking at the location, which is indicated right here. If I wanted to select 2 or more locations, I can certainly do that. And I would just choose the all 3 locations or however many locations are tied to that bill to. We'll just stick with the current location and let's just comb through some of the report widgets here and show you how powerful these can really be in terms of really pulling together some critical information based on the services and inspections that you're completing out in the field, along with all of the visuals that come with the reports here. So in this instance, we can see there are 2 open conditions that require my attention. Maybe I'm the property manager or the owner of a business, and I can get a little bit of a deeper look by looking at the high, medium, and low priority conditions here. I can see the details and how long those conditions have been active for. If I wanted to create more of a custom report, I would just simply click on the Create Report button. In the middle here is the Pest Captured section, and that's giving us the last 90 days again. It's all controlled with the date picker on the top here. And this is a really nice graph. This is a really nice chart to view, and we'll show you in just a moment how to get more of like a list view if that's something that your commercial customers prefer. But take a look here. So, I mean, it's interactive. I'm just hovering my cursor over the visuals. I can see a trend line. And if I hover my cursor over a trend pinpoint here, this little dot, I can see what kind of pest was captured. So we have ants on the 11th of March and 18 were captured. If there's any kind of indication of I guess, blank circle with a line through it, that is indicative of thresholds exceeded for that pest within that time frame. We don't see one right now, but that's where they would see that. And of course, we have the y-axis, which is giving us the quantity, and then the x-axis is the month. And take a look here. I can come in and I can select 2 or more, 3 or more, as many as I want. It's fully responsive. If I want to grab a look at all the pests captured within a given time frame, I could see January, February, March, with all of the kind of inclines and declines in my trending here. To the right of that, we have our additional pest activity based on area. So we have a pick list here. You choose your pest, and it's going to give you all of the areas in this y-axis here, so the lobby and the hall area, right? And it gives you the quantity on your x-axis. Again, I can create more reports, export this to a CSV file if I wanted to create my own Excel sheet or even like a pivot table in in another kind of third-party program. So we'll keep moving down here, and then on the left-hand side is the widget for inspection reports, and this is just going to simply list out all of the recently completed services, and I can now download and view those inspection reports related to those services. You have your service type, which location it was serviced at, and then the date stamp with it. Okay, so if we keep going down, we have pest evidence. Right, so if you're not marking pests as captured or cited, but perhaps just marking that you found evidence of pest activity, which of course is a technician activity on the PestBack mobile app, it's going to know that and it's going to treat it as a very specific data point, and that will be visualized right here in this pest evidence report widget. So again, we get that same kind of trend line here. We have the line graph, but in this case, the y-axis is measured in percentage, not quantity. And I'll just come in here and mark these off so we can just see what that looks like. To the right, we have a material summary widget in the last 90 days, basically how many applications of each material were applied across this location or whichever locations you have selected. Jumping back to the left here, we have the device summary widget. So we have a total of 6 inspections here in the last 90 days. And this will give me a summary report, high level overview of devices that were either removed, replaced, or skipped within each inspection. So here's a good example. So one was removed on the 2nd of March. It gives me the exact device type code along with the name. Same thing here for the skipped version. And then finally, the very last widget we have is the threshold exceeded. So if your business is utilizing threshold alerts in PestPack, which are really indicative of, of a high level or quantity of pest activity that you've set boundaries on or you set thresholds on, either at one location or through multiple locations, that's all going to be triggered through the system right here. So I can see in the last 90 days, we've I guess either captured or cited, more than 3 ants in the past week, and that's a threshold, a very specific set of parameters that, as a business, that we set in PestPack through this training database. So that's just a review of the My Reports page. Again, we can click into the Create Report, and we can further use specific reporting criteria to really hone in on the exact report that I want, that I'm looking to output from the Customer Connect Plus portal. And again, on the bottom right here, I can export that to a CSV file. If you're more of like an Excel wizard and you want to either kind of consolidate a lot of information from multiple spreadsheets or create pivot data or really kind of customize your own graphing, that is how you would do that from the portal here. So your customers will see the close button on the top right, and that's how they'll return back to the previous page they were just on. And let's keep walking through the menu options here. We're going to jump down to My Conditions. And you most likely know that the conditions are set up in PestPack and tracked and monitored to really have a deeper understanding of what are the root causes of the pest problems out there through the services that we perform, right? So by default, if you're using IPM throughout your technician teams, you'll know that it's really an internal activity. But what's great about this is that you can really make this now customer-facing information through the Customer Connect Plus portal. It's probably important that customers are informed and educated on what are really the root causes of the problems, and then what are we going to do as partners to resolve that together, right? That's the whole idea about tracking this information, to solve problems, but also to keep you accountable as a pest management association, and also to keep either the business or some other kind of third party accountable to make sure that you guys are solving the problems together. Again, we have that option to choose, one or more locations if there's multiple locations at play here. As a user, I can tap into a very specific area. So if I just want to see, either conditions in one area or all areas, this is where I would choose that. You have your low, medium, high priorities or severities. Responsibilities, right? It's a responsibility on the customer, a neighbor, you as a pest management company, or is it TBD? And then status, right? So of course, every condition will have some kind of corresponding status. Is it open? Is it an outstanding condition? Is it pending? So is it in progress? Has it been resolved? Or was it void because maybe it was opened up by error, right? And then you have those date buckets we can pick from. And then we have the actual condition table on the bottom here. So it's going to rank it, high to low. So that the high priority conditions are going to be listed on the very top, and I can see which area it belongs to, what's the condition. So area covered in debris. It's an open condition. It looks like it's on the customer in terms of responsibility. It's been open for 39 days. And finally, this was the day that it was open. So if there's a lot here, I can page through, and then again, I can also download the CSV file to run that information using something like Microsoft Excel. And then let's go into my diagrams. So this is another functionality type that comes with Customer Connect Plus. So as you and your business and your technician team are monitoring and inspecting devices placed in various areas on the properties that you service, through the mobile app, you'll be able to obviously plot those devices onto a diagram using the sketch functionality. Now, of course, you also have this option back on the desktop, right? So if you're on a location and you go into areas and devices, you'll know that you have the ability to take devices and plot them on an uploaded diagram, whether you drew it up in a third-party program or if you drew it up using Sketch in PestPack Mobile. Either way, though, if you look on the left-hand side here, you'll get a list of all the active devices for this location, right? And I can even search for a particular device, which is pretty neat. So basically kind of use it as a filter here, search that out. And there are other various filters to use. So your user would just want to kind of use that to drill into and pare down the device list on the left-hand side. But in any case, you'll see every device here has a plus button where I can open that up and it gives me deeper detail surrounding that device. You can see the device icon, the type, what's the barcode number, any kind of target pest associated with it, the area it's in, etc. And then, in terms of the last inspected date, what was the status of activity? So we see here no activity for that device. But let's look at this example, the RBT14. Looks like it's some kind of rodent bait trap of some sort. So on the last inspected day, we can see that there were, in the last 90 days, 6 captures. So it's going to indicate that here. Same thing here. So for this BS1, we have 2 captures and then some kind of level of evidence for the rats. So, usually this is all being marked and recorded through PestPack Mobile using the IPM module. Now to the right-hand side here, we have our diagram with those devices that have been plotted onto this diagram. And now by default, there's a heat map, right? So this heat map will tell me as a commercial user, which are the devices here within this time frame. So by default, 90 days, which ones show any kind of, the highest level of activity or show no activity at all. So anything in green, indicative to me that there's no activity. Anything in yellow shows activity. And then if it does have activity with either any kind of capture, evidence, or sighting, then you'll see it's going to get redder as it get, as the intensity kind of heats up, right? So the higher level of capture, evidence, or sightings, the more red that device will be within that time frame. So and it's pretty easy to kind of navigate around. I can zoom in. I can click into any of these device icons to get more information. You'll get a pop-up. I can use a filter here and say, just show me the ones with activity and captures only, and it will hide the devices with no activity if maybe there were a lot of devices on this diagram and the user doesn't want it to look so cluttered. They have that option. I can also expand this so I can use up a little bit more of the screen real estate on my device. And again, this could be viewable on a computer, a laptop, a smartphone, a tablet. Customer Connect Plus is totally scalable to whichever browser and any kind of screen type, which is really great. And then your users can also print the diagram, and that'll just download to their device, and that can be shared via email or just stored locally on their device. And then finally, just the last thing I want to point out here is that there is a pick list. So if there are multiple diagrams for this location, your customers can toggle between any of them right here. So now we have a totally different diagram, looks like it's a warehouse, and we have a whole new set of device activity and criteria that we're interacting with. And of course, all this will update if any of the data changes based on the date range here.